Hi guys. Hello. Can you anyone hear? Am I lagging?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm sorry that there's some technical issue with Joshua, so I'm just going to help him for a bit, right? So now, so sorry for the delay for those who just came in. Okay, now today, welcome to our cybersecurity webinars today. We are happy to able to invite Mr. Alan and Miss Jess from CIS Army to join us today, right? So just a little reminders before we move on, it's that do refresh your video, okay, if you find it's lagging, because we all know that Wi-Fi might be a bit unstable when we are working from home, okay? So refresh, okay, and you might have a better connection. Yep, and oh yeah, if you're guys looking for e-certificate, please don't forget to register yourself. Okay, I think Joshua have already sent out to our students about the registration link, right? Okay, so I think Joshua is back. I just gonna pass back the line to him. Hi, Joshua, can you hear me?
Hi. Sorry for the delay. All right. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Am I lagging?
I think it's good now, so I just going to pass
That's
the
good
floor
now.
back to you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for taking your time out on this Saturday afternoon to join this event. To educate you and to inspire the next generation to work in the cybersecurity field and to educate you. Yeah, sorry. Okay, all right. So to honored guest from the company Sysami, and to share about the importance of cybersecurity. Right. The first speaker is Mr. Allen. He's currently holding a senior role as Chief Technical Officer at Cybersecurity Consultancy and Security Operation Center organization, and has over 20 years of experience in information security, governance and control. Sorry. He has extensive experience in leading engagements and serving clients in the area of cybersecurity. The next speaker is Miss Jess, who is currently holding a senior role as Head of Professional Risk Services at Cybersecurity Consultancy and Security Operation Center Organization, and has over 10 experience in information security. She has extensive experience in leading engagements and serving clients in the area of cybersecurity too. All right, I'm going to pass the floor to Jess right now.
Let me just roughly go through what's our agenda today, because just now Joshua already introduced what we're going to talk today. So the first thing before we actually move towards how cybersecurity is, how's the career with cybersecurity. So I'll start off with something. What is cybersecurity, and what are the current threats that we have currently on cybersecurity? We're going to talk about phishing. I think that is one of the common things that actually happens recently. So I think I'll just give a brief brief presentation on phishing. Then I'll pass to Alan on talking about career towards cybersecurity. Okay, and let me share my screen. It's okay, right? Am I lagging or nothing, right? Okay, let me share. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen. So basically, I'm going to just go through, I call it a cybersecurity awareness. So, but what we're going to focus today is that we're going to focus on phishing. What phishing is about. Okay, my name is Jess. I'm actually a head of professional risk services in Sysami. So if anything, you can email me as well after this conversation. So our agenda today is, right, I'll just roughly go through what is cybersecurity, because some people still don't know about the cybersecurity. Then I'll talk about phishing. Phishing is one kind of social engineering, but I'm going to talk about phishing because these are the things that one of the most famous, I call it social engineering nowadays, phishing, and how do we protect against phishing. Then we have a Q&A session. Then after this, then I'll pass to Alan on the cybersecurity career. So anybody know what is cybersecurity? Because I know that a lot of people actually confuse between cybersecurity and security. Some people say cybersecurity, is it about security guard and so on? Yeah, it's actually security guard, but it's on cyber, okay? Okay, what is actually cybersecurity? Cybersecurity actually is to protect your confidentiality, your integrity, and availability of your important data. What are those important data that we have? Maybe your IC number, your maybe your name. You know, some are those confidential integrity that we need to have for your important data. So how do we control cybersecurity? It could be physically kind of like control to ensure cybersecurity, or you can control through technical. Okay. So these are things, for example. So what is phishing? Okay. Phishing is one kind of like social engineering. It's a technique actually used by cybersecurity, cyber criminals to actually, I call it con users or employees in reviewing their information or installing malware. For example, you know, nowadays a lot of people, what they do is that how they do phishing is that they'll send email to a respective person, so ask that person to click on the email. That's also how they do it. Or they said, okay, they send an email to you, they ask you to download this file or this exe file. So that's how they do the phishing attacks, okay? And what actually they want from phishing. So I hope everybody knows why they want to do phishing. So we need to know what they want from the phishing. First thing, yeah, after your password. Remember, we can see a lot of cases, you know, and news saying that, okay, people's a lot of passwords has been compromised and so on. Of course, how they do it, part one of it, they do it from phishing. So from there, they'll gather your information, they'll get your password. They'll ask you to key in your name, your password, your IC in their so-called phishing site, or phishing or maybe ask you to download phishing exe file or documents. Second thing, what they want from phishing is your money. So sometimes they may actually scam you for the money and so on. And third thing, they want to have your financial information, because they could send you a link about maybe they are from certain banks like Maybank, CMB Bank, ask you to log in. So it could be for financial information and also to get your identity. So they can actually use your identity to do other things. So they will ask you to to actually key in your name and so on, your address and so on, so that they know your information, so they can reuse your identity for other things. Okay, these are things they want from phishing. So we talked about phishing emails attack. There is 3 types of phishing attacks. Email. One is mass scaling phishing, where they actually the cyber criminal actually get a list of like emails from somewhere. We call them maybe from dark web or some people. So they will send out like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 of like email during that time, and just to attack some people, to actually ensure that some people could actually click on the link, on the phishing link, then they will lead them to another site where they key in their personal information. This is called the mass scaling phishing. Second one, we talk about spear phishing. Spear phishing is like towards tailored to a specific victim or group of victims, where the cyber criminals, what they do is that they actually gather information. They actually do some research before they do this kind of phishing email attacks. It could be targeted to a specific person, or it could be targeted to a specific organization. Could be targeted to a bank or targeted to a bigger organization. We call it the spear phishing. Okay. And another popular one, we call it business email compromise. This is where they actually compromise corporate email and attacks for their money or data from the target. This usually happens to the organization, where they target to the organization. Okay. So basically, this is like we talk about common phishing threats. So how do we identify, is this a phishing email? I think this is very important, because a lot of people, they receive emails from unknown, and then they might want to click on certain things. So what we want to do is that we need to identify which one is the phishing email, so that we don't actually go into this phishing threats. So first thing, if they are a mass scaling kind of phishing, so they will have a generic greeting. So dear some users, because they don't know your name. Okay. Second thing, they will invoke certain fears, saying that, okay, like for example, they say if you don't change your password now, your bank account will be locked or whatever. They will invoke that kind of fears. Okay, that's what they have in phishing emails. Okay. Third thing, they always ask you to do something, require action, update your account, update your personal details, and so on. So they will link you to another site for you to update certain things. Okay. Fourth thing, they will have certain threatened language. If you don't do this, then you actually cannot access to certain things. This is what they have. The fifth things, they have very generic closing. So these are things we have to look at if you actually receive certain emails like that. These kind of emails are commonly phishing emails. Okay. This is on spear phishing. Spear phishing, I remember previously I told you, this is a targeted email phishing. So it's actually well designed, coming from real domain, and they know the person's name is personalized because they already gather certain information about that person or their organization. So it's personalized kind of like email. And they will actually ask you to perform certain actions via a link. And also they'll ask you a immediate action. It's the same thing. Okay. So what do you need to know about phishing? So probability that a phishing message succeeds is 1 out of 10. To be honest, a lot of people, they know, oh, there is a lot of like phishing emails every day and so on, but a lot of people still click on the malicious so-called link or download the file. That's why when the cyber criminals actually send out like 1,000, 2,000 emails a day, phishing emails a day, maybe 10% of people still click on that, even though they know this kind of things, phishing is there. And watch out for certain things you need to know from phishing is that always when phishing, they they always have these like spelling and grammar errors. And then you need to look at their sender address and certain things that sounds too good to be true. Like for example, certain phishing emails could be like, okay, they'll send you saying that, okay, I'll give you like 100 ringgit of like Grab e-wallet voucher or e-wallet credit. So please click this and update your information. It could be something like that. That is one of the example. And you have to beware on unsolicited message like attachments, your links, your login page. So usually what they comes with the phishing emails is that, okay, they'll ask you to click here to update or ask you here, click here to download certain things and redirect you to a login page or something like that. So these are things you can see from the phishing emails. So for you to really understand what is phishing, so I'll just give a short video so you can actually see what phishing is about. Okay, can everybody see my video?
Phishing Explained. Protect yourself against internet threats. The internet can be a dangerous place. One common technique scammers use is phishing. Phishing schemes are directed at the weakest link in any security system, the user. Criminals send out seemingly authentic emails directing users to a website. Once there, the scammers use tricks to get you to reveal sensitive personal information. Scammers may also send an email with an innocent-looking attachment, such as a zip file or Word document. If you download the attachment, malicious software is installed on your computer. Many phishing scams are elaborate and believable. That is why so many people have followed a fake link or downloaded an infected attachment. However, there are certain things you can look for. Urgent action. Many phishing emails warn of major consequences if no action is taken. You may be warned that your bank account will be closed, or be told that unauthorized charges have been made on your credit card. The scammers want you to act quickly, before you have time to think clearly. Spelling and grammar. If the email message contains obvious spelling or grammar errors, be suspicious. Most large, reputable companies will carefully edit their messages before sending them out. Link to a website. Many phishing emails include a link to a fake website where you are expected to validate your information. Microsoft Safety and Security Center recommends that users hover over the link in the email without clicking. When a pop-up box opens, check to see if the address in the pop-up box matches the email link's address. If the addresses don't match, don't click on the link. Requests for personal information. Scammers will often ask you to update or validate your address, date of birth, personal identification number, credit card information, bank account numbers, and other details they can use to steal your identity. Pop-up ads. Reputable companies won't ask you to update personal information by using pop-up ads. So what should you do if you are suspicious? Don't open any attachment or follow any link unless you are 100% sure it is legitimate. Banks and credit card companies won't ask you to validate information via email. Whenever you have doubts, find a reputable phone number and investigate using the telephone. If you think you are the victim of an email scam, take action as soon as possible. Call your credit card companies immediately. Change passwords for any site that has any of your sensitive personal information. Run a virus scan using a program such as Malwarebytes or Avast. Make sure your browser and other programs have been updated. Software updates often remedy known security issues. If you are not updating on a regular basis, your computer may continue to be vulnerable. Periodically review your bank account and credit card statements and look for any suspicious activity. Report the scam to the company whose information was fake. Extreme caution is your best defense against the scammers. Educate yourself about the tricks they use. Reduce your computer's vulnerabilities with virus scanners, firewalls, and frequent software updates. Know which actions to take if you are a victim.
Sorry. I hope that from this video, you guys know what is actually
Phishing Explained.
sorry, is about. So something wrong. Sorry. So how do we actually protect yourself against this phishing? So I think from the video we can see that, make sure that you don't click on a suspicious link, and you don't download any files that look suspicious, and don't actually do anything if you receive suspicious email from somebody. And these are the how you protect yourself against phishing. This is most important because they always ask you to click a link or download certain things. So please do not do that. Okay, I think that's all from my phishing. I hope from the video and also short briefing from my side, you understand what is phishing. So if you have any questions, you can type and ask any questions later on. So now I'll pass back to Joshua. So thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. About the attendance form, for those people who want, for the participants who wants the ECET and the COCO marks, please fill in the attendance form. Later, I'll be sending another link for during the session. I'll be sending another link, so you have to fill in 2 forms to get the ECET and the COCO and your COCO marks here. All right. Next, I'll pass it to Mr. Alan.
Alan?
Yeah.
Thanks. Welcome back. Right. So let me prepare my slide. Right. So welcome everyone to today's talk. Right. So thanks, Jess, for actually briefing the participant about the importance of cybersecurity. Right. As for basically, when we actually talk about cybersecurity, there's a lot of things like that we need to actually take care. And as we always say, human element is actually the most um, vulnerable parts, yeah, not the technologies, not the other parts of the things, but people, right? So a lot of cybersecurity event or attack that you actually see basically derive from what we call this human weakness. Maybe someone not well versed about cybersecurity, clicking a link, downloading a file, right, or installing some unknown software on the computers, on the phone, and so on, right? Okay, so the next sessions, as I promised to the surgery team, right? So basically, we are actually talking about this cybersecurity career, right? Cybersecurity career. So I do believe that whether as a student or as actually people who are actually interested to have a switch in cybersecurity career do wanted to know what is cybersecurity about, what is actually the industry about, right? The career path, right? As well as what kind of positions, and of course, the common question, what is actually the remunerations or reward working as a cybersecurity personnel, right? Okay. I myself, basically, I'm Alan. Okay. I'm actually CTO at CISAMI as well as director at Security Academy, right? We provide cybersecurity training. Okay, for ISACA Malaysia chapter, I'm also the accredited trainer for there are 4 key main certification called CISA, CISM, Series, and CGIP, right? We will be slightly talking about that as well later on, right? I'm also a trainer for ISO 27001, ISMS, multi-certified instructor as well as proctor, yeah? Do go to you can actually go to LinkedIn or for Facebook to search for CISAMI Facebook page as well as LinkedIn page, so that you can actually get the latest update about our cybersecurity awareness event as well as career. Yeah, do take note that we only publish our the vacancy at these 2 social media. One is LinkedIn, one is CISAMI Facebook, right? We don't publish in JobStreet or any other job website. Yeah. So if you're actually looking for a job, or if you wanted to know whether there is actually a vacancy CISAMI, basically you can actually go to our Facebook or go to our basically this what we call this LinkedIn. Yeah. We know majority in Malaysia or this part of the world, we use these 2 functions. Yeah. Or you can actually also connect to my profile in LinkedIn or Facebook using the same email. Okay, right. Okay. The next basically So basically, when we actually talk about cybersecurity is just like a virus, the common virus, just like COVID-19. Yeah? Um, the things is to protect us from virus, same or malware or from hackers or from any attackers, right? So basically, the difference between human health and organizations are actually quite similar. Yeah, it's just that one is actually human, another one is actually organizations, which include people, process, as well as technologies. Yeah. So in human, basically, we have things like virus, bacteria, and so on, right? So in cyber risk, basically, we have things like malware, right? We have actually things like attackers, right? So we have other things like basically bugs, right? In software and so on, right? So other than that, also there might be also organizations or country who are actually trying to compromise another enemy country and so on, right? I do not want to mention who, but typically I think all of us know, right? So cyber war between different company or different ideologies, right? So it's still happening today, even though there's not much physical war as of now, yeah. But cyber war is real, okay, right? Then next basically is that in this, for example, the H5N1, right, and also now we call it COVID-19. Basically, is the type of malware that can actually impact human health, right? As for the organizations, basically we have things like what we call these hackers, people who are interested, about the data that we actually have, right? Basically. So when you actually get sick, then basically you go and see doctors, kind of things like this. So basically for the what we call this for paid for normal under the hospital, basically as a patient, right? When you get infected from flu, basically you go to see doctors, right? Okay. For organization, basically you come to see organizations like us, like company like us, Sisami, right? Where we actually provide cybersecurity services, right? We help customer to identify what's happening inside their environment, if there's anything that have actually compromised the environment, right? So for human, basically, we go and see doctors, right? Okay, right. Basically, when you actually go and see doctor, what they do is like they do things like the CT scan, they do things like X-ray, right? They do ultrasound and everything, right? So basically, in cyber world, right, this is actually what we do. We do penetration testing, we do vulnerability assessment, and so on, right? So this is to identify if your organization is already compromised or someone already sitting in your environment. Yeah. So this is how you actually compare the real world virus versus the cyber risk in your organization. Yeah. Okay. Right. Then after that, usually after doing all the scan, the doctor will actually give you some the test result, right? They also give you some what we call this medications, best practices, ask you to take care of your diet and so on, right? Okay. And they might also ask you to actually keep on monitor and perform monitor checkup from time to time. Yeah. And if the test result is good, also you might still need to do yearly checkup, right? So that's the same thing goes to cyber world, right? So when after we actually completed the test, like the hacking test, compromise test, and so on, we will actually provide an organization health report, yeah. And if there's any area for improvement, basically we will actually also provide, like example, we might suggest organizations to put in things like firewall, put in things like IPS, endpoint protections, and so on, right? Okay. And of course, after that, then we might also recommend the organizations to provide ongoing monitoring of their organization's risk status, right? If there's anyone hacking the company, so attempt to hack the company, then the security operations center, just like how we actually doing a medical checkup, will be able to provide a comprehensive report and to actually allow the organizations to mitigate the attack and so on, right? So that's actually the analogies of human virus versus the cyber risk. Yeah. So there's a lot of similarity. Yeah, just that one is technology based and another one is more towards human. Right. Okay. Next, basically, when we talk about cybersecurity vendor ecosystem, right, it's actually a huge industry, right? What I'm actually showing here, basically, there's actually two portion of it, right? Number one is basically the product base. Yeah, there's a lot of cybersecurity technologies have been created, innovated, to actually help protect all of us who are using online services. It could be online banking, it could be anything. Yeah, that we're actually talking about here. So the product that I highlighted is just part of it, right? To be frank, if you actually wanted to include all the cybersecurity vendor product, right, basically it's going to be a just imagine an A3 size, with a logo much smaller than this. So very hard for me to actually explain to you, right? If we actually use the A3, so I actually just pick up some of the most common solutions that you can actually see here in Malaysia, right? And if you actually look at it, right, typically there's more than 10 different domains in terms of cybersecurity, right? We have things like endpoint protections, perimeter defense, we have things like penetration testing, we have SIEM tool, we have cloud protection tools, like web application firewalls and things like that. We have identity management, we have mobile device protection as well, right? So basically, there's a lot, right? If you are actually like to actually play with all these cybersecurity technology solutions and product, then these are the company that you might want to join, once you graduate. Yeah. Um, as opposed to the traditional product solutions and so on, right? So there's another career opportunity basically at a services side. Services means is that we provide services in terms of appliance or hardware boxes and so on. So customer will charge based on what service they subscribe. Yeah, just like you subscribe to maybe the commercial WhatsApp account, right? So you pay for like 2 ringgit, 3 ringgit, 5 ringgit, 10 ringgit per month, and so on, for example. Yeah. So that's the things that we're actually talking about, providing services instead of selling a handphone. Right? In the common chronology, basically this is my handphone. This is like apps, right? Within the app store and so on. Yeah. Okay. Generally in services, we actually have few types. Yeah. Okay. Number one is actually the system integrator. System integrator basically they sell all the product we actually mentioned here, right? And system integrator basically they sell these solutions. They provide implementation services. They provide maintenance and support services as well, right? And these are actually very essential because without them, basically you will have issues to actually purchase cybersecurity appliances solutions to be deployed in the organization. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, in the service sectors, we also have things like the cybersecurity risk and consulting services, right? This is where that you usually heard of a big name, we call it Big Four, people like EY, people like Deloitte, and organizations like PwC, KPMG, Mazars, right, Piccadilly, PKF, and Accenture as well, right? Accenture is actually one of the biggest, I would say, IT, yeah, IT consultancy services company at the moment, yeah, Accenture, right? Um, Other than that, another sector is what we call usually the cybersecurity services, which including consulting and assessment, pen test, and so on. Yeah, this is actually whereby the most wanted job, right, by most of the graduate, right, because everyone wants to be a pen tester, they like to be hackers, they like to be gray hat hackers, white hat hackers, and so on, right? So this is those company that you can actually join after you graduate, right? And there's another very important sector where CISAMI in is actually the system integrator, SOC, cybersecurity services, risk consulting. Yeah, this is actually a very hybrid sector where the company here basically do all the services provided by the these all these three companies. Yeah, which includes services, consulting, as well as system integration services. Yeah. So CSAMI is actually part of the company providing that. Yeah. So if you ask me, basically, Mr. Allen, what are actually the opportunity that you have once you actually graduate, if you actually wanted to join the cybersecurity workforce, is plenty of it. Yeah. If you just count based on product, there are hundreds of it. If you actually count based on service company, there are between 75 to over 100 companies which needed, yeah, resources on a yearly basis, and in a growing path basically. Yeah. So there's a lot of requirements in the market, and there are also a lot of hurry going around for cybersecurity ecosystem. Yeah. Okay. In terms of career path, yeah, basically, there are few. The first one is actually information security analyst. Yeah, this is actually wait, yeah, let me finish this slide. I'll come to the questions. Right, information security analyst. The is actually the most fundamental positions in any organizations. Right. Basically, what they do is they analyze log, they analyze the pen test report, they analyze vulnerability assessment report, or they analyze the solutions that you actually put to protect your organizations by analyzing the result from the tools or from the report. Yeah. From there, basically, if they found any anomaly or any alerts which require attentions from the organization, then they will escalate it to the involved party. Yeah. The education's requirement for information security analysts, some people call it cybersecurity analyst, some call it IT security analyst, and so on. Yeah. So it's all basically roughly the same. It just depends on what is actually the job scope about. It can be very niche, it can be also very wide. Depends on where you actually work for and the roles you are in. Yeah. Okay. The education requirement basically, typically most of us as an industry player who are actually hiring for cybersecurity or information security personnel, normally minimum we are actually looking for at least have a diploma in IT or related field. Most of the people that we actually hire to work in our company, majority I would say 10% is master degree, 70% is actually degree, another 20% is basically a diploma. Yeah, and they are actually growing demand in this field. Yeah. Okay. So information security analysts usually serve as the basis. Yeah. Okay. Now there's a one question that nowadays most systems in organization have certain level of automation and usually are centralized systems. To what extent we can automate our system to avoid the system totally be invaded, right? So sad to say that, right, you cannot totally stop people from invading or compromising your system. You can only reduce the risk. Yeah, you can only reduce the risk. Yeah, so there's no bulletproof, there's no single solutions that can actually prevent your system of being attacked. Yeah. Okay. Why we say that? Basically, along the line when I'm actually talking about this topic, you will actually find that no, it's impossible to detect. Yeah, because in today IT environment or cybersecurity environment, we are actually operating using multiple systems, right? Centralized system is there, but the distributed component of the system can lie around different geography locations, different building, right? For example, even now, we can actually work from home and so on. Yeah. Okay. Right. Another question is that any recommendation position for a fresh graduate student? Yeah. I think I have actually explained during my first slide, right? Information security analyst is one of the most fundamental basic positions which is available for you guys to actually join the workforce, right? Okay. Um, the second position is actually forensic computer analyst, right? These are actually the security analysts focusing on working on a specific incident, yeah, their job is to actually extract evidence, right, from this image, from the evidence collected from a crime scene, yeah, just like what you actually see in the movie, yeah. So the education requirement basically, as an employer, normally we are actually looking for those who have bachelor degree, yeah, or even diploma can be considered, depends on the skill set, right? Uh, for especially for those who are actually graduated from uh, computer security specific, yeah, or cyber security to be specific, or forensic in terms of computing to be specific, yeah, because these are actually very skill-based type of job, yeah. Your job is to collect evidence and analyze evidence, okay, right. Next is actually penetration tester. Yeah, penetration tester actually concern is that proactive authorized you basically is a proactive authorized personnel or employee or a vendor who are trusted by the organizations to perform a testing against the infrastructure and system. Yeah, this is to test if there's any vulnerabilities that allow people to actually exploit the system as well as the infrastructure of the organization. Yeah. Okay, penetration tester as same, right? Typically, it is recommended to have actually at least a bachelor degree, yeah, in IT, in cybersecurity, or in information security, yeah. And of course, most of the employees out there would like to have the fresh grad to have specific certain type of at least at minimum one professional certification. Yeah, I believe in today academic sector, most universities, college do actually embedded in a professional certifications course, right, as part of the training as a certificate so that when you guys graduate, then it will be much easier for you to actually find a job out there. Yeah. So pen tests do require you to actually have a professional certification because with that you can then basically what we call this secure a job, right, in terms of being a pen tester and so on. And normally also we will also require you to have at least 1 to 2 years working experience at least in IT related field, right? So this will allow you to actually understand the how system work, how the architecture work, in order for you to successfully perform a penetration testing or vulnerability assessment on a system of that belongs to a company, or even belongs to the business. Okay. Next is actually security system administrator. Yeah. As mentioned by one of the questions just now, right? How far can we actually automate the system? In today IT environment, yes, we have already automated a lot of things, but yet you still need a system administrator, or we call security system administrator. Right? These are actually also sometimes we call security engineer. These are the people who are actually installing, administrating, yeah, maintaining and troubleshooting computer network and data security system. Yeah. So their job is to actually handle security solutions. Yeah. Okay. The main distinction between security system administrator and other cybersecurity professional is that the security system administrator is normally the person in charge of the daily operation, or we call it business as usual stuff, BAU, yeah, business as usual stuff. Okay, yeah. Um, the education requirement, the security system administrator need to earn at minimum a computer degree, yeah, or related field, right? In most cases, however, we as an employer will look for job candidates with bachelor degree, but prefer to be in at least information security or system science, computer, and so on. Yeah. Any working experience and professional certification may also be required, or may also be used as a substitute for those without a degree or diploma. Depends on the background of the person actually applying for job. Okay. Right. Another type of post that usually quite I would say hot in the market, right? A high demand is IT security engineer, right? This is actually the employee who will usually be trusted to actually just design a security system integrations, how to purchase all the different components like firewall, IPS, endpoint protection, and so on, and put it together to form a security defense system. Yeah. So these sometimes at minimum you must have a computer science related degree or diploma, right? And of course, those with working experience in infrastructure management, networking will have actually better advantage of being offered such a position. Yes. Right. Normally, after perhaps 5 years of working experience as IT security analyst, security engineer, and so on, usually you will start to actually explore the next higher ranking or level of job, right? Which is usually called consultant, yes, security consultant, right? So, in security consultant, usually may do some hands-on, but usually limited. But the main responsibility of a security consultant is to provide advisory, right, to organizations on how to actually protect their asset as well as their system. Yeah, so that is actually a job of IT security consultant. The requirement basically is similar. Yeah, you must actually have a diploma or degree or substitute with any professional certifications. And because you need to actually provide consultations to people or organizations to solve their problem, then typically you will need 5 to 10 years at least, yeah, of experience in order to be able to provide those required consultations for a company basically to actually build their cyber defense strategy to protect their business, yeah, and to ensure that the business is okay. Um, Right. Next is basically security architect, right? A security architect is actually responsible for establishing and maintaining design of network security infrastructure for his or her organizations, or it can be working with service providers, right, to provide consultancy or services for an organization. Yeah. Security architect usually work in if it's working for end users, right? Usually it's for more for bigger company, yeah, uh, that usually have multiple offices, a lot of branches, and might be operating from all over the world, or typically we call it MNC or government agency. Yeah, the education requirements similar, right? Bachelor degrees or in information security, IT, computer science, forensics, and so on, right? What most important things in becoming a security architect is that the working experience. Yeah, with the working experience, knowing how the business work, then only the security architect can actually design a system, security defense system that can work along with the business, right? To for the organizations to achieve its mission and objective. Yeah. Okay. Security architect is also one of the uh, basically a dream job. Yeah, for most of us. Yeah. Okay. Right. Next, basically, the another position which is actually quite what I call this become popular here recently, right? Is what we call Chief Information Security Officer, CISO. Yeah, CISO is typically a mid-executive level position, right? At this moment, CISO is not considered same position as the CEO and so on, right? Typically, we call it CISO, but however, it's not as high decisions, yeah, as like CEO, yeah. So it's more like a subject matter expert advising CEO, COO, CFO in terms of cyber risk or information security risk. Yeah. Okay. The job is to actually oversee a general operations of a company organization to ensure is that the IT security or cyber security risk within a manageable level. Yeah. So, however, CISO does not involve in running the operations of the IT or IT security on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, they're just overseeing the risk. Yeah, they're just overseeing the risk. Okay, the education requirement for CISO position, of course, definitely a degree, right? In IT, computer science, right? Those are the standard things, right? If you actually have a master degree in the in IT, cybersecurity, or even have MBA, and if you actually have those respected certifications, which I will actually tell you what are actually some of the most respected certification in our industry, then it can be also used as a substitute for master degrees and so on, right? So either you have actually a master or either you have actually the professional certificate. But the one thing is very important to become CISO is that you must have working experience in the field, and perhaps it could be like at least I'll say comfortably you must have at least 10 to 15 years of working experience, right? In running and security operations, managing a team size, maybe at least 20 to 50 at least, right? In order to qualify or to become a successful CISO. Okay, right. This is actually the summary of those career actually available in cybersecurity. Yeah. But to put it in basically one simple chart of the type of career that you can actually join once you actually graduate. Basically, for fresh graduate, basically, if you actually can see, these are actually the three positions that you can actually apply for. We call it a security analyst, information security analyst, or cyber security analyst. Yeah. So what are actually the qualification required, right? In order to join this workforce, at the minimum, either a certificate, a diploma, or degree in IT or computer science or information system. Yeah. So as a fresh grad, information security analyst is your entry point, right? Security system analyst, same thing, right? If you actually have a professional certification, that would be great. And for information, this is where I started. Yeah, I started my career as a security system administrator. Yeah, that's how I actually transform myself from one level to another. Yeah, another a job which you can actually start off as a fresh graduate is IT security engineer. Yeah, same requirement. Yeah, but everyone actually have the similar certification, either certificate, diploma, or degree, or even a professional certification nowadays. But what makes a difference to be successful in this field is passion and interest. Yeah, this is the things, the key things that actually driving all of us to continuously working in this field, right? Some of our seniors that have worked along with us, or even some who have actually joined the industry much earlier, have been working in this field for at least 20 to 25 years as of today. Now, some that I know have been working more than 30 years related to information security. So as a fresh graduate, to answer some of your questions here, right, these are the three positions available, right, as a fresh grad. Yeah. And the most important thing is passion and interest, right? Okay. After of 2, 3, or maybe up to 5 years, 2 years of working experience, basically, then you can actually start to look for positions like senior security analyst, forensic computer analyst, or even a penetration tester. Yeah. So the difference between the requirements of become a forensic computer analyst and pen test versus those entry level career job, right, in cybersecurity is years of experience, right? In order for you to actually perform a forensic or perform a penetration tester, it's not just about running the tool, right? you must actually have a certain skill set and knowledge to understand how a specific system works in order to perform a forensic investigation or to carry out a test to test the strength of the system being implemented by an organization. So the key differentiator between these three jobs and these two jobs here is skill, right? You need specific technical skill because these are technical job positions. These are more towards implementations and analyze job. These are testing, more towards testing, analyzing the report or analyzing the evidence. Okay, right. Once you actually have enough business knowledge, right, the working knowledge as well as additional of few more years of working experience, then you can actually look for a positions like security consultant. Yeah. Okay, security consultant, as you mentioned, provide advisory. It can become a person who assists the organizations to develop a roadmap strategies, even to provide a recommendation system of architecture as well, right? Okay. Um, the once you actually working as a security consultant, some will actually continue to be in this field until they're retired. Yeah. So then you might become senior security consultant, principal security consultant. Some organization might have what we call managing consultant and so on. Yeah. So it depends what they call it, right? So some people do not like to actually manage people, so they just want to be a subject matter expert. They can become a security consultant who are very niche in a specific knowledge or skill set. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So other than that, some will actually become security architect, right? The difference is that as a security architect, you must have a professional certification. Yeah. Depends on what field you actually going in, right? You can actually refer to like certifications like TOGAF, certifications like Zachman and so on, which are more to a framework based that allow you to design or a security defense system to protect an organizations. And as I mentioned, CISO, right, is similar to that's why you as a CISO you must have actually 10 years or more experience in IT, or to be specific, if you have experience in security, right, to become a CISO, because you need to understand each and every task or work scope done by all of these group in order to become a CISO. Now, what makes a difference between this third level, right, of positions versus the other two, right? So the most important thing as a consultant, architect, or CISO, right, typically you need leadership skill as well as politic skill set. Yeah, the politic doesn't mean is that you join the politic as of the nations, right? You need to understand that how the social relationship within the organization between the upper management and the middle management as well as the working level, right? So once you actually understand some of these relationships, then only you can become part of the organizations, right, to work as a team. Yeah. So leadership means you need to actually lead a team of project members, a team of people to deliver a certain job, or a team of subject matter expert, right, to help organization achieve their business objective by securing their system and environment. Yeah? Okay, so that's actually a summary of the career path. Yeah, but of course, in terms of the career title, right, it might change from one organization to another. Yeah, because the title of the career basically that you are looking for might change when you actually jump from one company to another company, or when you are actually flipping to the job applications that you actually see, right? Typically, they might use different naming convention, but the functional role of what we actually writing down here, right? Roughly similar to what you actually see when you are actually applying for a specific job out there. Yeah. Okay. Like in terms of information security certification, there are actually quite a lot of it, right? But the most reputable one are actually Science, right? Science Institute. Science Institute are actually the organization who provide very deep technical certification. Yeah, and you can actually Google what is actually Science IT security certification. To actually obtain this certification with the training plus the exam fee can range from ringgit Malaysia, I would say plus minus 20,000, right? That's the cost. That's to attend the training and to take the exam. Does not include like you might need to actually travel to Singapore. You might need to travel to overseas to actually take such exam. Yeah. So overall, all in could be between 25,000, right, for to obtain this certification. And of course, it's actually a very skillful based type of certification. Yeah, those with this type of certifications are very well respected by the industry because to get this certification is super tough. Yeah, super tough. Yeah. Okay. Another organization which is actually quite respected so far are actually ISC Square. In fact, ISC Square provide one of the most respected certification for most of the time for consultant. We call it CISSP, Certified Information System Security Professional. In fact, this is my first certification that allowed me to become a consultant. Yeah? I actually spent quite a lot of time on study for CISP. And believe me, if you can spend some time to study the material, you can actually Google or purchase those material available online and prepare yourself to actually obtain this IC squared CISSP certification. Yeah. Okay. Another well-respected certification is actually ISACA certification, whereby we have CISM, CIVIS, CGIT, and CISA. Yeah. One is audit, right? How to actually find a weakness in protection or control within the organization. CGIT is how to manage an IT department in an organization. CIVIS is how you manage risk in an organization. And for cybersecurity, CISM is actually the closest paper, which is certified in information security manager, yeah, CISM. Like people who actually have these certifications can become a security consultant, can join the workforce within the cybersecurity industry. Yeah, previously we call it InfoSec, yeah, but now we call it cybersecurity. Yeah, right. Okay. Why cybersecurity is one of the most in demand in terms of career now, because basically there are actually the guideline on cybersecurity provided by regulators as well as payment card industry, money transfer industry. Yeah. So all these guidelines basically requested that organizations to provide education awareness for their employees, right? They have a proper cyber risk management. They have policy, procedure, and guideline in terms of cyber security. They have multi-layer security architecture defense, right? They have all the needed technologies to protect their organization and must have a BCP, yeah, business continuity planning, to ensure in the event of disaster, the organizations can continue to provide services, right, internally or externally. Yeah, so the push factor here, one of it is basically what we call this regulated guideline. Yeah, okay. Right. All the job that we have actually mentioned just now, touches all these things that we actually mentioned here. Yeah, plant solution, yeah, solutions, automations, and so on. The infrastructure, right, the network, the servers, the tools, the aircon, the electricity, and all these things. Those are managed infrastructure. Yeah, managed configuration. All these solutions that you actually put on site without human configuring it basically is useless. So you got to set it up, you got to configure it in order to make it run. Yeah, and this infrastructure also keep changing. Yeah, from time to time, as and when we start to add in new devices, new business model, more customers, you do server expansions and so on, right? And of course, you also might also mitigate the disaster. The disaster could include like cybersecurity incident, hacking from external, as well as system failure, power failure, and so on. Yeah, and all these solutions must be governed. Governed means you must manage the IDF operation, which might actually cause issue if it's being disrupted. Yeah, okay, right, and other than that, right, you must, these are also the things that either as a cybersecurity personnel or pen tester, risk managers, auditors, you will actually came across all these functions and solutions here. Things like servers, things like clients, things like network devices, things like firewall, applications, email servers, right, and directory service as well, right? And that's why just imagine there's a lot of things for you to learn in order to become successful in this field, right? And usually it will take you at least 3 to 5 years to accumulate all this knowledge, right? In order for you to actually move on to a more higher role such as consultant, right? Or even what we call this architect and so on. Yeah. Okay. Next, the other terms, if you're actually looking for when you actually see some job advertisement in terms of cybersecurity vacancy, you will see things like red team, right? Which is actually doing the actively attacking or testing a company or organization system. A green team will actually simulate a legitimate users that's trying to actually access the server and to identify the risk, yeah, via the exercise and so on. The yellow team, yeah, another thing is yellow team. Yellow team actually simulate innocent user members of green team, where the green team will actually install a malicious software on the subject being actually tested in the green team exercise. Yeah. So to actually perform, to actually see how far they can actually go, right? Compromising an innocent user. Yeah. Blue team. Yeah. The blue team typically is actually the defense team. The defense team who are actually working as a team comprises a member from IT, Network Operations Center, Security Operations Center, right? Computer Emergency Response Team as forensic users as well, right? So this is more works towards defending an organization, yeah. White team, yeah. Although it's considered quite new to me, some of these terms, right? But it is there, yeah. So the white team actually create a cyber attack scenario and instruct the members from the green, yellow, and red team, right, to perform the exercise based on the scenario developed. Yeah, okay. And the last team here is actually the purple team. Purple team is actually the what we call the media. I'll call that what is that? The corporate communications. Yeah, the communication team who were actually talking to outside. Yeah. So whenever there is actually incident, cyber hack attack happen in the organizations, no one talk to the press except person authorized by the comms department, we call it communication department, and so on. Yeah. Okay. Which act on behalf of the senior management, top management, or board of director. Okay. Right. As a cybersecurity, if you actually wanted to join a cybersecurity workforce or to become successful in cybersecurity, there are a few key things that you need to actually understand. Number one is that you need to understand the network architecture, security, perimeter defense architecture, right? Things like you're going to make yourself familiar with things like router, firewall, web filtering, antivirus, virtual private network, intruder protection system, as well as APT or ATP, yeah, advanced threat protection system. Yeah. So by understanding this architecture, then only you will be able to perform a test, right? In a more professional and accurate manner, as well as you can actually perform assessment by looking at the design of the perimeter defense of the organizations and came out with the recommendations for the organizations. Yeah. Right. Other than that, no, you would also need to actually learn the skill of carrying out attacks, on system, either from external or either from internal, right? This will allow you to actually have a better understanding of the what we call this methodology to perform such tests, as well as what are the things that you need to do when you're actually carrying out attack, a legitimate attack authorized by the user. Yeah. Okay. Um, Other than that, basically, defend. You need to know how to defend an organization. Yeah. Typically, all organizations have system and end user, and these are the two major classification of assets that we need to actually protect. Okay. So how do we actually perform protect the system and also the end user, which is our asset, by putting in a security solutions. So what are these security solutions? Yeah, these security solutions include, of course, the most fundamental is firewall and IDS or IPS, right? Followed by things like web application firewall, as fast persistent threat solutions, as well as network proxy. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, no, there are also things like endpoint protections. We call it things like EDR, MDR. Yeah. And the most important things to protect nowadays is access and ID. A lot of cyber attacks happens because of the access, the compromise or leak of access ID and password, which allow the attacker to penetrate the organizations, without much effort required. Yeah, usually by just one or two click, or even by just keying in a username and password, which they actually obtain from a dark web, from data leak, which is publicly available in certain website. Yeah, and all these solutions, right, if it's actually enriched with threat intelligence input that tell you so where, what, who, and how it happens, right, it will actually allow you to actually have a step forward, right, a step uh, fast, quicker than attacker, to prevent them from coming into your organizations. Yeah, implementing security solutions and performing security operations center, putting you in advantage to defend your organizations against cyber attack. But as I mentioned, it's not a single bulletproof solutions, right? It can also only minimize the risk. Yeah, because the key thing is that the successful of the cybersecurity defense in an organization pretty much require combinations of people, process, and technologies. Too much focus on technologies, the solutions might not work, right? But too much focus on process may slow down the business. Too much focus on people, right, may actually create issues like lack of resources, and so on. Yeah. Okay. Right. So to sum up, basically, I know is that a lot of students or those who actually wanted to join cybersecurity workforce is because they are actually amazed by the keyword hackers. Yeah. So the thing with between tester and hackers is that tester most of the times are actually authorized by organizations. They have a specific scope, yeah, and they work within the scope, yeah, okay, and normally their activity will be supported by a report, yeah. As for hackers, basically their objectives is more towards destroying the organization's data, stealing the data, right? So the objective is more towards destructive, yeah, destructive, yeah. Okay, they're not limited to any tools or techniques, right? And they don't have to write reports. That's the difference between tester and as well as hackers. And the most important thing is the quality of being a tester, or maybe we call it white hat hackers and so on. The difference is mainly I would say the ethic, yeah, the ethic, right? For example, if you are actually performing a test, then you manage to somehow, because the system is so vulnerable, you manage to penetrate until the database table layers and so on, right? So as a tester, normally you will actually stop it there, and inform the vendor or the clients about the issue, right? And if you actually cross the line, right, and copy the informations out without authorizations, typically you can be classified as a hacker because you have crossed the line of being a tester. Usually during the engagement, we assign a letter that says that basically if we find something, we actually stop there, inform the organization. If you cross the line, typically that's not a good things to do. Yeah, so you might end up in certain legal dispute as well as you might be breaching the law as well. Yeah, right. Okay, so that's actually sum up the what we call this uh, my presentations, right, about the carriers and so on. Yeah, um, I believe is that Joshua did tell me about one of the key questions which I have not covered, right? Which is the salary range, yeah, for each of these positions, yeah. Although there's no specific guideline, but there are certain research who actually define some of the positions, but may not be seen that same naming conventions that we mentioned here, right? So putting those things aside, right? I can't say the highest, yeah, but maybe let's say the general uh, pay, yeah, that people that I know what they're actually getting, right? For example, as a security analyst, right, a fresh graduate, usually during the first year, you could be doing somewhere between, the past EPFs also not base pay, gross pay means that not the bring home pay means that before minus EPF tax and so on, right? So we are actually looking at starting pay about 2,000. Yeah, talking about 2,000. Yeah. Other than that, right? Okay. For system administrator, usually also starting about 2,000. Security engineer also about 2,000. But certain company might be offering between a range of 2,000 to 3,000. Huge gap, right? So it depends that why there's actually a huge gap because first um, the industry is actually need more people, right, or more resources, more professionals, right. I have actually lost track as well what the industry, the some of the agency mentioning like 10,000. We need 10,000 cybersecurity staff. We need 20,000 cybersecurity staff, and so on, right. So that actually created a high demand, yeah, and basically. That will actually allow us to uh, the fresh graduate, right, to enter the field without much issue. It's just a matter of pay, right? So for the first 1 or 2 years, don't look at too much on in terms of the pay scale, but gain as much of working experience and job knowledge, right, in order to prepare yourself for the next job change, maybe in 3 to 5 years. And also don't change your job too often, right? As a fresh graduate, I will encourage to stay at least minimum 2 years, at least minimum 2 years. Yeah. Okay. Because once you actually start to actually change job, right, some people will get addicted and keep changing job every 1 or 2 years, right? So it's not something good if people see your CV is you know you change job very often, right? It might be actually might affect your quality of CV quality. Okay. Next is like forensic or pen tester, right? Typically, forensic and pen tester usually 2 to 3 years working experience. So I wouldn't say the highest one, but typically we are actually looking at between 3,000 to 6,000, depends on your working experience, skill set, as well as professional certifications that you have. Yeah? Okay. And of course, the from a security consultant uh, or security architect and chief information security officer. Um, for consultant, typically you might be actually looking at starting from 4,000 onwards. Yeah? Security architect, although I don't actually have a specific figure because there's limited positions available, around, but I will actually looking at those MNC might be earning at 10 to 15K above at least within that range. And CISO, CISO is actually one of the demanded by mainly financial service industry. Um, I, I can only predict that the salary is also above the 15K level as a CISO, chief officer. Depends, I would say minimum, how high? Well, I would say like maybe 30, 40K, depends on where you work. If you are working for MNC with the HQ operations out from Malaysia, yes, you can even earn that figure in either US dollar or in Sing dollars and so on, or even Australian dollar and so on. Yeah. So I hope that actually covered the the portions of what we call this the right. Right. So we have actually talked about the career path and all this, right? So yes, any questions so far? Yeah. Is no two 2000 minus off the EPS. No, we are actually talking about gross pay. Now, if you minus EPF and tax, right, is actually what we call this uh, bring home pay. Yeah, bring home pay. Okay, bring home pay. Right. Look at the question here. Any other question? Else, I'll actually pass it back to Joshua.
Hi, Mr. Allen. Thank
Hi.
you for your sharing. So I
Yeah.
just gonna take over Joshua for the last part of the session. Okay, I'm so sorry because Joshua has some technical issues, so I'll be taking over.
Hi.
Right.
Okay.
So thank you, Mr. Allen, for your session. Again, it's very insightful, and thank you for sharing the knowledge. IT student, I bet you got a lot of information from this, right? So drop down thank you if you find it useful. And we have last few minutes for a Q&A session. So please drop down your questions in the chat box if you have questions. Yep. So while waiting for your questions, a little summaries for today session. Let me just put Miss Jess in as well. Hi, Miss Jess. Um, yeah, so both of them have shared with us a little bit about what cybersecurity is in the beginning, and then Miss Jess has shared with us about phishing, and then Mr. Allen later on bring out a bit on information about job positions and then what each role's doing, and about the career path in the cybersecurity field. And later than that, he also shared with us some professional certification or courses that you can look into. Right. So I think students, this is something that you might find useful. So do remember and come back often, okay? Because this is going to put up on YouTube and we will not take down. So just go back and see over and over again and use it as a reference for yourself. Right. So let's see at the chat box session. Do we have questions? Okay, we see Nicole saying thank you for you both, and then we see Divina say thank you as well. Metra saying thank you as well, and we do have Jason who shares that it's a legit cybersec info sharing. Yep. So last call. If you don't have questions, I'm gonna put up the event feedback form in the chat. Okay. So do give us some feedback on how this event is. Okay, and we would like to see hear from you and see what we can improve from here.
Mm.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Any more questions from you guys? No, it sounds quiet.
If
Is
later
there
on you have other questions, you still can actually just send it to Joshua or to Pearl. Then
right,
yeah,
right. Yeah, we can
yeah.
do that. Here's a question from Sam. Is there any like career opportunity at the moment?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, we actually have few positions opening up, like even as administrator, at office system administration, right, or IT general admin office. We also have consultant positions open in our company, security analyst, as well as penetration tester opening up, right, in our offices. Even my partners here, Jason, from Mr. Nevis also, I think they are also hiring. Yeah. And of course, you can actually go to, as I mentioned, go to our LinkedIn as well as Facebook, right? Either these two media, we are actually posting out our job advertisement there, right? Do like and follow our Facebook and LinkedIn as well, right? Okay.
Right. Thank you for that, Sam. I hope that answer your questions. So go and do follow their Facebook and LinkedIn profile. Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, it seems like from my part here, I didn't see any questions. Yep, Sam said thank you. Right, so let's wrap this up. So on behalf of Saigi College KL and student representative from KL, we would like to say thank you to Ms. Jess and Mr. Allen for spending your precious time with us and sharing us with so many information. And on behalf of Zegi as well, we would like to thank all the audience who tuning in with us today. Thank you for your time, and I hope this brings some information, useful information to you. Now,
Right.
until we meet
Yeah.
again, goodbye and stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Goodbye and
guys.
good luck.
Stay
Yeah.
safe.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye and good luck. Right.